Most resume advice focuses on the surface, swapping out weak verbs, shifting into active voice, and injecting keywords to clear an applicant tracking system. We treat the document like a grammar test. But a polished action verb provides zero value if the bullet point describes a responsibility entirely disconnected from the target job. Fixing that requires zooming out to the narrative level. This is the purpose of Skill 07, the Advanced Resume Strategist. It evaluates the document as an architectural blueprint rather than a collection of sentences. If a candidate wants to pivot into software engineering, but their experience reads like a lifelong academic, perfect syntax only makes that academic identity clearer. The words are right, but the story works against them. Students know their own histories intimately, so they assume the recruiter will connect the dots. In reality, human readers scan documents in seconds, building a rapid impression out of whatever jumps off the page first. When one section highlights laboratory research and the next emphasizes retail management, the reader doesn't see a multifaceted professional. They see a confused applicant walking in opposing directions. This friction peaks for career changers and graduate students. They have strong track records, but their past achievements point directly away from their new target industry. When these candidates are rejected, it is rarely due to poor writing ability. They fail because they told the wrong story and forced the recruiter to guess why they applied. Recruiters actually want to find a match. They read charitably, but they move fast, searching for a single coherent thread that explains why this specific person belongs in this specific role. To evaluate that thread, we use Skill 07 to run a narrative assessment. The AI mimics a recruiter's rapid scan, strips away the student's intentions, and outputs the exact story the document is telling right now. Once we establish the current narrative, the AI calculates the gap to the target industry, establishing the positioning strategy. The system then generates section-by-section changes, like moving a project section or compressing roles. Every edit is dictated strictly by this strategy, not generic rules. The output also flags remaining gaps. If a role requires 3 years of specific software experience and the candidate has none, the AI explicitly notes that a resume rewrite cannot solve that problem. Organizing feedback as structural architecture shifts the mood in the advising room. Students stop defending their individual bullet points and start collaborating with the coach to solve a design problem. Knowing exactly when to optimize for syntax and when to deconstruct for narrative is the difference between an effective coaching session and a wasted hour. If a student's overall background already aligns with their target, and they need to align their language with a specific job posting, deploy Skill 02. It maps their existing experience to the employer's keywords. If the student lacks a clear narrative arc, or their past experience conflicts with their future goals, you must deploy Skill 07 to rebuild the structure from the ground up. Running keyword optimization on a disorganized career history produces a document that might clear a search filter, but will baffle the human who actually reads it. Telling a student their professional history doesn't make sense often creates immediate defensiveness. Presenting an objective, AI-generated narrative assessment bypasses that friction. When candidates read how a neutral system interprets their life's work, they step outside of their own perspective. They experience their resume exactly as a skeptical hiring manager would. Removing ego from the diagnosis accelerates trust. Students become willing to delete beloved, hard-earned accomplishments because they finally see how those details crowd out their core message. The most extreme test of this framework is converting a dense academic CV into a targeted industry resume. A 10-page CV lists every publication and conference presentation. Corporate roles require actionable results. You cannot trim the margins. You have to tear down the academic identity and rebuild it for industry. Because this specific translation requires deep reasoning about professional identity, we rely on the Claude platform. It accurately identifies the transferable industry skills hidden inside highly specific academic tasks. A career transition succeeds when the hiring manager immediately understands why the candidate belongs in the room. That requires building a coherent, structural narrative. The grammar simply ensures the words don't get in the way.